Tyler Hero, what a finisher he's become.
Lane, Oladipo, Hall. That's right, you better mean mug after you dunk on somebody that way.
Gonna run it down, he goes with it. Adebayo for the win.
Yep. Welcome to the 5 Reasons Sports Post Game Show, aka the Post Up on 5R. I'm your host, Royal A. Shepherd. And with me today to talk about this bullshit ass game is my man returning from his trip to LA, my guy, Jonathan Ramakan. How you doing, Jonathan?
It was our last game without Bam Adebayo, so I am doing pretty good, although we took it out.
Yeah. And as you guys can see, I'll make this intro simple and plain. A melanin Adonis, and y'all know his name. A beast on these streams. Now watch him show his fangs. All hail his return. The chairman of the Kane Gang. Welcome my guy Ricky J. Mark back to the show, guys.
Good evening, brethren.
Good evening, my brother. So the Heat dropped this game to the Philadelphia 76ers 109-98. I'm not as pissed off as I customarily am after losses. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of things playing into that. But before I get into my own personal thoughts, I would like to hear y'all. Ramakan, we'll start with you tonight, brother. Tell me what you saw in this game. Tell me how you felt about it.
Yeah, I saw a team that was on a second night of a back-to-back, right? Jimmy looked like he didn't have his legs under him. I think probably his worst game of the season. So definitely the worst game of his season. We had a really good game from Omer, honestly, and Caleb Martin had a pretty good game as well. I liked a lot what I saw from them. But honestly, a couple people were saying this in the comments. Our best players just didn't play well tonight. And when our best players don't play well, it's going to make it really, really tough for the rest of the team to pick up the load. And this was just one of the nights that the shots weren't falling. I mean, we had a really, really tough night from three. And towards the end of the game, it just kind of all emanated into one play when PJ Tucker got fouled and Kyle finally hit a three-pointer, but it didn't count. PJ missed the 2 free throws, and that was pretty much the end of the game. So, like I said, it wasn't the best game overall. It was a second tough, gritty, weird, awful looking, not fun kind of watching game. But it was our last game without Bam Adebayo. He's coming back soon. The Heat roster is only going to continue to get stronger, and I'm excited to see what we have moving forward.
That's a very polite way to say that Jimmy and Kyle Lowry played like shit tonight. Like I like the way you said it better, much more eloquent. But they were fucking trash. That's the long and short of it in my eyes in terms of those two guys. But Kane, Ricky, give me your thoughts on the game tonight.
Look, it was tough. I've got some bad news, but I've also got some good news. The bad news is I think Miami missed a pretty good opportunity to really make a claim for that number 1 seed tonight. We saw how KD went down, unfortunately, with a knee injury. We know what's going on with the Nets, how they're dealing with injuries and stuff like that. So this is pretty much going to be James Harden's team for the next maybe a week or so or 2 weeks. Zach LaVine went down with a knee injury. I think it was last night. The Bulls, I believe, are still number 1 in the East. The Bucks have been sliding a little bit. They've been struggling. I think I don't know. I have to check the score, but they were back and forth with the Raptors for a while. I don't know if they won or not yet. They lost? Okay, so there you go. And that leaves the Sixers, basically. And the Hawks have sucked, so they haven't really been much of a threat this season anyways. Miami would have benefited from – this would have been a really good capstone win given how well they've been playing in the last few weeks. And it would have mattered heading into the second half of the season. But here's the thing. These wins happen. Miami's going to get those wins back because presumably the teams that I just mentioned aren't going to be collecting wins like Miami has without their guys. They play a different style of basketball, and I think ultimately Miami's going to get some of those wins back in the next few weeks because they're going to have to deal with those guys. I mean, what's Chicago without Zach LaVine? They've got just DeMar DeRozan and a couple role players. Miami's more of a team than they are in terms of roster construction. The Bucks, we know where they're going to be. At least I know where they're going to be when the season's up, and then you have the Nets. So I think don't get too bent out of shape tonight, but Miami's going to be just fine. They're in a great position. As Ramakan said, Bam should be back in 2 days. Now, bad news. I don't know if you want me to do this now or
Let me read this Dono and then get to it. So
Yeah.
thank you, Course, for the $4.99 Dono. He said, why in the world did we not play zone against a team who can't score against the zone? Considering every time we beat this team, we use the zone. WTF? That's a very good question. There were a lot of head-scratching things that went on in this game, especially Gabe Vincent not getting an opportunity to get in and show what he can do against a team that he has routinely killed throughout his career. But Ricky, I want you to get to your negative points before we move on with the conversation.
So the negative here is that, look, Duncan Robinson is not the player we thought he would be. Okay, I'm prepared to make that declaration right now. And it's not necessarily for the reasons that some of you are probably thinking of right now. You might think, oh, yeah, he hasn't been shooting well. And I know certain pro Duncan factions are going to say he's been shooting 41% in the last few weeks. However, he's 23% in the fourth quarter. That's not even the case I'm trying to make here. Duncan Robinson is getting paid, I think, around, if Kendall, wherever you are, correct me if I'm wrong, 19 mil, something like that a year, something along those lines. You can go find that pregame. Here's the situation with Duncan Robinson. I'm not confident in him, given how much money he's being paid. I'm not confident in him being a big-time go-to player that will deliver for you in a big game against a big team that Miami's likely going to have to go through to get to the finals. And I went back and I looked at the stats. This is the part where it gets ugly. October 21st, they played the Bucks. 3 for 10 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3. And bear with me, this might take some time. A week later, against the Nets, 2 for 7 from 3, just 6 points and 5 rebounds. Against the Celtics, 5 for 7 from 3. 5 for 17 from 3. November, against the Jazz, 3 points, 2 rebounds, 1 for 5. 13 points, 2 rebounds, 4 for 8. That's against the Nuggets. 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 3 for 13 from 3. Now, you might think, oh, man, all-around play. But guess what? He also missed like 2 or 3 free throws in overtime that game that would have probably given Miami a chance to win. The very next night against the Clippers, 6 points, 9 rebounds, 2 for 11 from the field. He only shot threes that night. Against the Bulls, 16 points, 6 for 14 from the field. I'm going to include and you're going to notice there's a correlation between a lot of these teams. These are good teams versus Royal. Please, yes.
Yeah. I wanted to jump in here because, I mean, I think the Duncan Robinson shooting percentage argument has been beat to goddamn death, bro. And I mean, like, there's some validity on both sides. Like, Duncan Robinson has been playing better, and I want to kind of get a more holistic view on him, and then we'll kind of circle back around to what your point was. I want to give Ramadan an opportunity to jump in here on the Duncan Robinson thing since we're here. I want to be balanced tonight because we have won 4 out of our last 5. So. Like, yes. I don't want to be hyper, aggressive because I have.
Oh no, but this took time. No worries. I got
That's
you.
Specific to Duncan Robinson, though.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation, it seems like it's been had, and it seems like it needs to be over. Ramadan, Like, I think I have to go with some people. Like, it's at the point now where I don't see a place for Duncan Robinson in this rotation. Where are you on Duncan Robinson, bro?
It's still tough, right? Because you don't want to just fully give up on a guy that you just paid, right? That's never something you want to be put in a situation to do. However, if you're all things considered, if you're just looking at it playing wise, if he was making an equal amount of money as Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, Omer Yurtseven, right? If he was making an equal amount of money as those guys, I would probably play those guys above him. You'd probably Max Strus, not the best game tonight, but he's still been, I would say, a little more consistent, a little more aggressive. And before we move on, I do want to actually throw this one to you real quick. So appreciate you, Lonnie Daniels, for the $20. Continue, Royal.
He said, this was on me, guys. I shouldn't have called him bitch yesterday. The basketball guys do not tolerate the disrespect, apparently. Now I'm going to give y'all money in hopes for forgiveness. You are forgiven in my eyes, Lonnie. Listen, I think what the Embiid thing is, look, we all knew that he was going to eventually show up and be the best player on the floor. Like what Yurtseven did in the first half, fucking impressive. And I think that's another conversation that we need to have about where his place is in this rotation moving forward, because he played really well. Like I said, 20 and 10 last night in jest, but he ended up with 22 and 11. So thank you, James Todd, for the $9.99. Don't know. He said, I love Jimmy, but I feel like occasionally we get these single-digit games from him out of nowhere, and I don't know why. Also, D-Rod went 0 for 8 from 3. Nah, screw started. He might be out of the lineup. I think that's kind of what we were getting to. So, look, I'm sorry, Ricky, but I'm just kind of tired of the Duncan Robinson conversation. I want to talk about Jimmy Butler right now. And I want you to
No
start
problem.
on Jimmy. I want you to start on Jimmy Butler and because he was
Sure.
awful tonight too, bro. So
Sure.
talk about Jimmy's game.
No problem. Look, he was, I believe, 1 for 11 from the field tonight. Look, we know what Jimmy Butler is expected to produce every night. We know what his standard is. And I'm going to try not to go back to the other guy. But the thing about Jimmy that gives me solace is that when it absolutely matters. If he's healthy, he will be there. He will make up for this. You know that he's going to bounce back against a good team. Okay? Jimmy Butler has proven himself. He's a made man. He will perform. He will elevate his play. Now, ultimately, the biggest proving ground is the NBA playoffs, and we have to see that in the playoffs. We can't get something like this in the NBA playoffs. I don't think he'll do this in the NBA playoffs if he's healthy. Same goes for Kyle Lowry. I'm sure we'll get to him too. But Jimmy Butler had a bad game tonight. I know he knows he had a bad game tonight. And another thing that gives me solace is that he has the mental fortitude to recognize that he had a bad game tonight, and he's going to come out and do better next time. He's going to do what he needs to do to make that happen. So, bad game, it happens. It's terrible, but I'm not worried about Jimmy because he won't. I don't expect him to string together a bunch of 1 for 11, 1 for 7, 4 for 11, 2 for 6, 0 for 7 games like somebody else.
I like the way you did that. Continue down that path where you go ahead and just name a couple more games every time I throw you this rock. Question everything. Thank you for the $2 dono. He said Kyle's shooting has been sus all season. Bitch. Yeah, Kyle Lowry has been suspect, but we're talking about Jimmy right now. Who, I mean, look, he is prone to having these types of games, but like Ricky said, I think Jonathan's going to echo a lot of what you said. Like, I'm not really worried about what Jimmy's going to do when it's time for him to do something. This is a 1-game sample size. He wasn't good enough tonight. Ramacon, why wasn't Jimmy good enough tonight?
9 assists. Oh, sorry.
That's relevant. I didn't mention it.
It's just one of those games, right? I mean, these were shots that he would normally hit. I mean, he was posting up smaller guys, Tyrese Maxey, whoever else was guarding him, Seth Curry, and he was just not getting the shots that he would normally get to fall. And like Ricky said, that's a normal thing to happen. So if anybody's overreacting to that, I mean, you're an idiot, honestly. But when playoff time comes, he's going to be more aggressive, right? He's going to get downhill. He's going to drive to the lane. Credit, the Philadelphia 76ers with one thing is putting Joel Embiid on him because we know that Jimmy struggles against lengthy big men, right? He's not going to be able to take it inside, body him, and get to the rim quite as easily, which we know he's mostly the time going to do. Let's say, like I said, it's just a tough matchup. Second night of a back-to-back. He'll be fine. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah. So let's get to the other guy. Let's get to Kyle Lowry. There were a lot more things that were troubling from him for me. Kyle Lowry is billed as an above average defender. And tonight it seemed like he was a target. Like he was giving up a lot of open threes to Steph Curry. It was a couple of times when they put him in the pick and roll where he just kind of wasn't rotating properly. And that's something that we've seen. Now, Ricky, I want to know, is that more a product of him playing a quick guard like Tyrese Maxey, which we know he's going to struggle again? Or is that something that you're genuinely concerned about the way that he's been playing defense as of late?
Okay, so 2 things. One, I went into this season with some concerns about Kyle Lowry, and that had to do with his age and his propensity for injury as a result of his age. I've been pretty consistent about that since Miami acquired him. That said, he's had some pretty good stretches this season, and that also needs to be acknowledged in the interest of fairness and consistency. However, going back to his age, and here are some of the things that you're going to have to just get used to in terms of dealing with a 35, 36-year-old player. Quick guards like Tyrese Maxey, who I think is in his 2nd season, they might give him problems. I think no matter how great a player is, once he starts declining, younger, quicker guards are going to be a problem. And I'm not saying Kyle Lowry is at the end of his career necessarily. That's just the reality of it. He's not in his prime anymore. I think a good historical example is, let's say, the 1990 first round between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. Magic Johnson was the greatest point guard of all time, right? Couldn't handle Kevin Johnson. The Lakers got swept. It happens. It's just a matchup situation. Kyle had issues with Tyrese Maxey, jumping all over the place. I mean, I think I forget who it was that mentioned it in our group chat that said he got sunned by Tyrese Maxey that one play. It happened. These things are going to happen.
It was absolutely Kendall.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There you go. So here's the thing, though. I mean, kind of echoing some of the things that I said about Jimmy Butler. This was a tough loss. It was a tough performance. I don't expect that same kind of performance again against the Sixers, assuming we're even playing them again. But in the event that the Heat are playing the Nuggets, Cavs, Bucks, Bulls, Cavs, Sixers, and Suns again, I highly doubt he's going to shoot 1 for 9, 0 for 7, 2 for 6, 9 for 13, 1 for 7, 4 for 11, and 8 for 16. As a result of that, Kyle Lowry is a much better professional. He's not a one-dimensional shooter. He will find ways to improve this team if his shot isn't falling, as he demonstrated throughout this season. I'm not as worried about Kyle Lowry as some reactionary people in the comments might be. I think he'll be fine. He's a veteran. This isn't his first rodeo. So I think he'll be okay. Tough loss, tough performance, but I'm not worried.
We got somebody in the background who's waiting to make his appearance. Please bring him on, Jonathan Ramakan. Mr. Adam Barai. It's a pleasure to see you, my man. You're on mute right now. How are you?
It's a pleasure to see you guys, you fine gentlemen. I'm doing well.
Your name says 0 for 8, bro. What does that have to do with
I didn't even put that there. That's funny.
Oh, that's weird.
So weird.
Oh, what are your thoughts on the game tonight, bro?
First half, everything looked great. It just looked like it was going to be just one of those games where you duke it out, and eventually the Heat go on a 10-0 run. And that's just in the third or fourth quarter. That's just how it felt. And I felt like they waited too long to get it going in the third quarter. And to me, it felt like they all thought that somebody was going to show up and take over. And they were all just looking at each other, and nobody came in and took over. And that's just the story of the game.
Yeah, I think someone said Adam came through looking like a villain. Yeah, man, you look cold, bro. Where you at, bro?
It is 3 degrees.
Yep.
You should be in somebody's house.
It gets nasty up there. Mm-hmm.
Let's turn it a little bit, because I mean, I know like it's really easy to shit on everybody. I want to give Omer Yurtseven some love right quick, because boy held his own in the first half. I say we're gonna get 20 and 10, bro. He got it. So Adam, what are your thoughts on Omer Yurtseven and his growth this season? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
His growth it's clearly there. He's 7 feet tall. You know, he grew. I think he's just taking advantage of what Kyle Lowry provides to him. He's always been a great rebounder, and I think that it's just clear by the day that he's an elite rebounder in the league, and that's just going to be something that he always will be. It's just defensively, he gets cooked every single time down. He just gets cooked always. So I'm looking forward to Bam coming back in the very next game. Like I said, he looked great in the first half, I think, offensively, but Joel Embiid was still getting things against him. Like, Joel Embiid was still on the free throw line, but that's just what he does, you know? Mm-hmm. And we can't expect more from Yurtseven, but, you know, he was a good placeholder for Bam. So yeah. I will give him that, and I think that's all we can expect from him.
Yeah, I was like kind of thinking like the Omer Dedman debate. It's going to start now that Bam's back. Like, you know,
next year.
Sure. Oh, thank you, Miss Lynette, for saying Kyle complains way too much, because I think that he does. And speaking of Miss Lynette, we want to thank the primary sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports post game show. That is Insurance by Lynette, or A Aggressive Insurance. Visit her at www.insurancebylynette.com or give her a phone call at 954-581-8800 if you have any insurance needs. Make sure you mention 5 reasons when you give her a call. She's doing a promotion where she's giving out free vacation vouchers for a little while. So y'all make sure y'all hit her up and talk about that. Also want to thank another sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Post Game Show, and that is CPT Florida. CPT Florida is a place where people with small businesses can go to get all of your IT needs met. Any communications needs, phone services, voice services, all that kind of stuff they got. Visit cpt-florida.com or give them a call at 954-963-2775. Mention 5 reasons, and they will hook you up with your business as well. Let's get back to this game. Because I'm kind of like over it. Like I'm ready to wrap this shit up because this game was terrible. Like it's just not been indicative of what we've seen from this team as of late. And somebody made a point earlier in the comments, but I've made it before on the post game show, and we're just gonna kind of take this in a different direction. When we add Bam back, like I don't want people to think that everything's just gonna go back to being all good. Because just like we're saying with Jimmy Butler, there's an integration period from the way that they've been playing while they're during the streak to the way that they now have to play with Jimmy and Bam on the floor. Jonathan, we'll throw this to you. Like, what are you looking forward to most about Bam coming back with, and what are you expecting to see change the most when he's back on the floor?
Well, before that, thank you, Rich Organics, for the $4.99 dono. What player would you want for trading Duncan if you had to pick? Do you want me to answer the question? Or you want me to throw this one to Adam real quick?
You can answer it.
I mean,
let's throw it to Adam. Everybody wants to hear Adam answer.
Yeah, Adam, talk about this because everybody loves your voice.
It's Jay. Warm up.
Personally, I think this team goes on droughts, scoring.
But
maybe he's thinking
his mic is going on a scoring drought.
Yeah, maybe Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is a go-to scorer, like a guy that can just kind of get his own bucket. Sure. I don't know if that's the conversation he's trying to have, or
assuming Sacramento wants him.
Assuming Sacramento wants Duncan Robinson.
I imagine they watch Heat games too, right?
I mean, to try and help Tyrese Halliburton.
Yikes! I mean, that whole team needs to get blown up.
Right.
Well, look.
Oops, sorry.
I mean, I imagine he'll be back at some point. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Okay, so Barah, answer this question. Hold on, I'll let you go right then, Ricky. Barah, we can hear you. You can't hear me? Get out. Ricky, go ahead and jump in with what you was about to say.
No worries, man. I think if I could briefly go back to Omer real quick, one thing I'm glad about is that you can clearly see that the game is starting to slow down for him. I think, a lot of people think that when you perform well in summer league, that's automatically going to translate to the NBA, like the regular season. It's 2 completely different speeds, and people need to understand that. It took some time for him to get acclimated to the pace of the game, and now it's clear that he's starting to develop not only a fitness level that is appropriate for this team, but he's understanding that the game is slowing down for him. I mean, he's starting to take mid-range jumpers now, and that's as a result of the game slowing down. And he has that in his bag, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how everything continues to develop for him in that regard.
Yeah, I think like Adam was kind of alluding to, we're going to see the fruits of that development next year.
This year,
yeah. Like we have Detman now; he's NBA ready. We know that. Like I think you can trust him on a more consistent basis. But Adam, can you talk now? You're on mute. We don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I got a phone call and it just completely messed up all of.
Okay, so go back to the Duncan thing. Like, who is the most realistic target? That not like any. Just go ahead.
I can give you my opinion because I don't want to give a realistic target.
Yeah, let's do that. Give me your opinion, bro.
So in my opinion, this team goes on scoring droughts from time to time, and I feel like they need another guy that can get them a bucket when they need to, when they go on those droughts. Tyler's been great. He's been phenomenal. But I need another guy that you can put the ball in their hand, and they will get you 2 points if necessary. Some guys that come to mind, it's very untraditional, but I think Jeremy Grant would be great in a role like that, where he you give him the ball and you tell everyone to get out of the way and just let him work. I think Jeremy Grant, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, those are guys that fit the mold of the kind of player that I think would really benefit playing for the Heat. And I think the Heat, just those scoring droughts, like I mentioned, would go away if those players were here. I do not expect Duncan to get traded this year. I still think that they have greater plans for for Duncan and for some other players on this team. And this year, they're going to want to see what they have before making any major shakeups.
Yeah, I had to take off my headset, but me and Barav have had several conversations like this. So the other two players that you named were Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes. Yeah, okay. So that's cool. I put on Tyler Hero jersey. As you guys can tell, like I'm not enthused. This game pissed me off. Like it made me upset. But I know in my man brain that I shouldn't be upset at a loss like this because losses happen. And I saw
There it
what
is.
I was. But let's go to Tyler Hero. He didn't play well either. Jonathan Ramakan, talk about Tyler Hero. I don't want to like risk saying anything incendiary about him right now.
I don't think he had all that bad of a game. You know, I felt like he
was 4 of 11.
So yeah, you know, slightly below average because he's like 46, 45%.
Yeah, I mean, he was straight, but I mean, like, he got to the line a lot more. That was good.
Right, that's the thing. That's what I wanted to say. Really allude to is that he actually got to the line a little bit more, and I feel like that's just a part of a game that we've slowly started to see develop just a little bit more. And he's fighting, you know, he's getting better at passing. We've seen the development in his passing as well. So, you know, not the best game from him. I felt like every time the ball was in his hand, he was making shots, especially down the stretch when we needed some offense. But that could just be everybody looked bad, so one guy had to make something. But yeah, overall, not the best game from Tyler Hero. Can't pin any loss on one guy. He'll continue to get better. You know, not worried about him overall either.
Yeah, some losses you can pin on one person, bro. This one is not one of them though. Like I want to be clear about that. This loss, like everybody just played bad. Like we just shot terribly tonight. Like, and so it's kind of like one of those games where I just want to put in the shitter and just flush, bro. Like I'm actually done talking about this game if that's cool with y'all. Like I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's talk about.
How was your day?
My day was great actually. Prior to this game, I had a really good day. Watched football.
Good.
You know,
all right.
It was nice.
Yeah.
So let's
before you close out this game,
ahead.
also your mic's getting a little quieter. Want to give a little bit of flowers to Caleb Martin. Just good game from him overall. I felt like he's been honestly one of the more consistent players on this team. He has a really high floor, and even if he isn't delivering anything offensively, his impact is made defensively. Second effort, we saw when Jimmy Butler got the steal, he was the guy running back to make that second chance put back. Overall, I mean, he had the block on a jump shot, and then he ran all the way down and caught a lob from Kyle Lowry for a dunk. Dude's energy is on 110 every single minute. Love Caleb Martin for what he's doing. Continue to see him balling out because I definitely see him making an impact and sticking in this playoff rotation.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't give flowers to PJ Tucker either. So, Ricky, really quickly before we move on, I want you to go ahead and talk about PJ Tucker and just his overall impact. We already know that you won't see it on the stat sheet for tonight.
No, yeah, he's not. He's very much in the Shane Battier mold where his performance isn't gauged necessarily by basic stats. Maybe the analytics are really good, but the basic stats won't show him breaking the stat sheet. You know, there were moments, and I can't help but think back to that first half where not only PJ Tucker, but Tyler Hero had moments like that pass. He zipped over to Duncan Robinson to try to get him going for a three. Looked beautiful. And then on the other end, I think he ended up with a 3-point play at the end. But ultimately, going back to PJ Tucker, look, he hustled. He went to the ground. He made Joel Embiid's life a living hell when he could. I believe he was one of the guys that swarmed him. I don't know why Doc Rivers wouldn't take a timeout there. It was clear that Embiid was getting mauled, and Miami ended up getting the ball back at the end. So
they say Doc was trying to call it. It was on the
broadcast. They weren't listeing. Oh,
I guess I don't know.
That's terrible. But yeah, like ultimately, yeah, I think he's going to be super helpful, and I think kind of briefly going back to what Adam was mentioning with regards to potentially trading Duncan Robinson, I think you could potentially preserve PJ Tucker if you're able to get a Harrison Barnes. I'm not going to go too much into it because whatever, but that could I'd love to preserve PJ Tucker as much as possible. The man is 36.
Yeah, I think that's very important that we find ways to give PJ Tucker some kind of rest because during the stretch without Bam, he's had to play a whole lot. Adam, I'm not going to give you either one of those players. I want to talk about Gabe Vincent with you and why he did not play in this game.
Well, just really quickly going off Ricky, I do think there's a way to preserve PJ without the potential move of Duncan. I think there
Markieff
are
Morris.
players. Markeith is an example. And if you want to strictly talk the trade market, I do think there are players that you can find that are not making a lot of money, that you can flip, do a 2-for-1 trade that doesn't involve Duncan, maybe like a KZ and a Markeith, something like that. But ultimately, I do think PJ in the playoffs is your backup 5, and Jimmy is your backup 4 in the playoffs. So I do think it'll balance itself out at the end. Now, Gabe Vincent, he's just the odd man out right now. Spo is trying different formulas, trying different rotations, and I think we're going to continue to see different guys miss out at different times of the season just to figure out what works best. Wouldn't shock me at all if Strus started getting this treatment in 10 games or so, and then it goes to Duncan and then Caleb, just with Spo trying to figure it out. It was a little concerning that against the Hawks, where you have to guard Trae Young, Gabe wasn't on the court at all, or he played like 6 minutes or however much it was, because that's a really good matchup for him. So it is curious that Gabe didn't play, and you would expect that he would be a good matchup against a guy like Tyrese Maxey or Seth Curry. So it is interesting to note right now, but I just think that at the moment it's Spo trying out different formulas, trying out different rotations, and just seeing what works.
Ricky, do you think that's what it is, or do you think like we've seen probably the last of significant Gabe Vincent minutes for the year?
No, I don't think we've seen the last of Gabe Vincent this season. Spo's unpredictable. He could end up starting tomorrow. These things happen with him. I think it's a long season. We still have like what feels like half the season left, anyways. So I think at this point we're just gonna have to wait and see.
It's half the season.
All right, thank you. So yeah, we've got half the season left. So I think we should wait and see because I don't think we've seen the last of Gabe Vincent just yet. Something tells me that he's going to be called into service very soon.
Yeah, Jonathan, this is one of the teams that Gabe has particularly played well against. Like in the last 2 games that he's had against Philly, like he's haunted their nightmares, bro. And what do you think went into Spurs thinking not to pull the trigger on him tonight? Just at least see what he could give you in a game like this that was so ugly.
It's just one of those things. Like Coach Spo has developed a lot as a coach, as his tenure as a Heat, as our head coach. But previously, we always gave him a little bit of roughness for not making changes or being rigid in his lineups, right? I feel like now he's this was just one of those cases where it was a one game sample size and he just didn't pull the trigger to do it. I'm not really sure why, right? You had Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, a couple of guys that really could have, used his defense, especially when Caleb Martin was off the floor. And like you said, Kyle wasn't looking as great and as sharp defensively, but really tough overall. I'm not really sure why we didn't see Gabe Vincent, but I think we should have seen him because he's the random scrub 76ers killer in their eyes, I'm sure, right? But yeah, overall, I don't know.
The reason that we didn't see Gabe is because we saw 17 minutes from Duncan Robinson.
All right, Ricky, what do you want us to know?
Yeah, I'm just saying, you're muted. I can't hear you at all.
Yeah, the Denver Nuggets are. The Denver Nuggets are beating the Los Angeles Lakers 128-88 right now with 3:45 left in the fourth. So it could be worse, Heat fans.
That's
it
not
could be worse.
The Lakers suck.
I mean, come on, 40 points?
They suck.
Oh, they also beat Miami earlier this season.
You know what? Can we briefly talk about the standings?
The Eastern Conference standings?
Yes.
Sure. Oh. Let's do that. So after the night, we got Chicago is number 1. The Brooklyn is a half a game behind them. Miami is 3rd. Milwaukee is 4th. All 3 of the top 4 seeds have 27 wins. So yeah, what do you want to talk about in standings?
I think it's crucial that we understand and remember that this is the second night of a back-to-back for the Heat, and they have not lost any ground on first place.
Right.
The Bulls lost tonight. The Nets did win. But it's 1 game difference. And the Bulls still have, I think there's a 5-game stretch where they're playing all playoff teams. And the Nets are going to be without Kevin Durant for a little while. I think maybe at least a week or 2. So I wouldn't lose sleep over this game. I think they're just fine. It was just one of those games where it's a bad shooting night. And I do think that the Heat will end up with the 1 seed at some point in January.
Yeah, that's why I believe this this next couple runs is so important, so that they can fatten up on some wins and some pretty bad teams. Particularly, they got Toronto, Portland, Atlanta, the Lakers, New York, the Clippers, Toronto again. Like, there's some pretty not great teams in there that the Heat could potentially get. Like, stack up some wins on. So let's talk about the next one, which is Toronto, which they play on Monday, January 17th, which is also the birthday of Dwayne Wade and yours truly. So yeah, I'll be on post game with y'all on my birthday after we blow Toronto's ass out. But Jonathan Ramacon, the boy feeling good?
The boy feeling good. Don't get me wrong. Toronto has been playing a lot better lately. Definitely want to give them the credit that they do. They beat Milwaukee tonight, I believe, which was
Yeah.
a good big win for them as well.
Pascal Siakam had a triple double.
Yeah, so they're starting to figure things out. Fred VanVleet's also playing really well. They got a Harris, Scotty Barnes, probably rookie of the year, probably,
OG
top 3
Anunoby.
at least. But overall, good team. But the boy feeling good. The Heat gonna blow this shit out. You know how we do.
Facts. King Ricky, the boy feeling
Yes,
good?
sir. Yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty good tonight I'm actually feeling pretty good about the Raptors. I think Goran Dragic is an op for them, and he's been feeding the Heat, intel for the last few months. He's away for personal reasons. Yeah, no, he's spying on the team. I think the Heat are gonna get it together. They're gonna lick their wounds. They're gonna take a shower, think about it, dwell on it, put it behind them, and then go in there and remind Toronto who really runs the Eastern Conference or something. They'll be fine.
Barai, the boy feeling good?
Boys feeling good. I don't expect this team to lose 2 games in a row the rest of the way. So, I just don't, especially at home with the return of Bam Adebayo. So I feel really good about this one. I do think that getting a guy like Bam back will be a shot in the arm for this team in ways that we know and in ways that we don't know. I just think that this feels like a game where they blow them out by 20 plus, just because the Heat came off a loss. Bam's coming back. You'll finally have just about the full rotation ready and there, and I think the Heat are going to want to show up.
Nobody knows when we're getting Victor Oladipo back. It's not a thing. Like, he's back when he's back.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah. All of you guys, I'm surprised. We got a full panel tonight. The Heat about to blow that shit out. Fuck is you talking about? The Bam thing coming back, like, that to me is the biggest factor in it. Like, they have a lot of long guys over there on Toronto's team. A lot of long athletic guys. So having Bam defensive versatility is going to be extremely valuable to us. But they also have Precious Achiuwa starting at center over there. That is fucking food. And Bam is going to eat that motherfucker's lunch. So
if he wants to.
If he decides to, but it's Precious Achiuwa. He'll definitely help us win this game. Adam Barai is frozen. He looks like one of the Kardashians right now. He gets like that on the fur coat. Yeah, I'm pretty much pooped, guys. This is my second night of a back-to-back as well. So, do you guys have any final thoughts on this or any future conversations? You don't? Congratulations. You guys did wonderful. So, thank you guys in the comments as always for joining us, making the show much more fun than it would have been without you. Thank you to my man Jonathan Ramacon for pulling double duty as both an analyst and a producer. Thank you to my boy Kane Ricky, chairman of the Council of Canes, joining us. Thank you to Adam Barai, who came in and out with terrible phone service. And thank you to me, because I am awesome. I'll see y'all next time.
I agree.
Play the video, Jonathan.
Jimmy Buckets, clutch time.
Tyler Hero, what a finisher he's become.
Lane, Oladipo, oh! That's right, you better mean mug after you dunk on somebody that way.